Discover the incredible moment when my son's fiancée mocked me, unveiling a life-changing truth. Tom stood over the bubbling pot on the stove, the rich aroma of garlic and tomato filling the kitchen. Each layer he crafted for his famous lasagna told a story, one that stretched back through generations of family tradition and hard work. His father, a proud veteran, would often say that grit and family were what truly mattered in life. Tonight, he hoped to serve more than just a meal, he wanted to share a piece of their legacy. As the dining room filled with the warm glow of candles, laughter echoed off the walls. David, his 20-something son, entered with Lucy, his bright fiancée whose world brimmed with privilege and polished aspirations. Tom felt a mix of pride and apprehension. Lucy had a bright future in mind, but something about her polished demeanor often felt detached from the gritty reality Tom knew. Dinner unfolded with jokes about past family gatherings, and for a moment, everything was perfect. The jokes flowed easily, like wine in the glasses flickering with candlelight. But then, in a moment of arrogance wrapped in pretense, Lucy, with her head tilted and voice dripping with condescension, remarked, "I just can't believe David's father is a mechanic. I mean, is that really a career? What about ambition?" The laughter instantly evaporated, leaving a suffocating silence. Tom's chest tightened, her words cut deeper than he could express. He looked at David, searching for support, but his son seemed trapped in an awkward space between his fiancée's laughter and his father's dignity. The tension hung heavy, like smoke after a fire. Try as he might to brush it off, Tom couldn't shake the sting of her mockery. He thought of the late nights spent in the garage, the sacrifices he made to ensure David had every opportunity to chase his dreams. "It's not just a job," Tom finally mustered, his voice low and steady, "I fix what others can't. I keep people safe on the road." But Lucy, unfazed, continued to dismiss his work with an airy wave, as if Tom's well-earned years of sweat and toil were mere inconveniences. And then David, clearly upset, found his voice. "Lucy, you can't just belittle him like that. You have to understand how hard he works for us." The room crackled with raw emotion. As tension surged, family secrets veiled beneath unspoken words began to unravel. Tom, wrestling with insecurities, felt a flicker of defiance growing inside him. Rather than succumb to the weight of her condescension, he stood taller. Lucy's misplaced assumptions about success and worth started to feel like the real tragedy of the evening. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. With emotions running high, Lucy finally broke. "My family, we thought we were better than that," she murmured, revealing a hidden truth that shocked everyone. The implications of her words struck with a force that sent shivers through the room, laying bare the very foundations of their beliefs about wealth and social standing. Tom's heart raced at the potential for reconciliation, for a shared understanding that transcended their economic divides. The paradox of ambition weighed heavily against the sacred values of family. Just as silence threatened to settle once more, a loud knock reverberated through the house. Who stood at the door, with a past intertwined with Tom's deepest secrets? What this figure revealed would challenge everything Tom knew about love, sacrifice, and the elusive American dream, and the family would soon stand on the brink of profound transformation. Tom's heart raced as he wiped his hands on a rag, the warm kitchen suddenly feeling cold. With a glance exchanged between him and David, he moved towards the door, uncertainty knotting his stomach. The knock echoed again, harder this time, a heavy reminder of whatever was waiting on the other side. That he pulled the door open slowly, his heart thumping louder than the knocks had. Standing there was a figure he hadn't seen in years, an old friend, Jacob, whose wild spirit had faded into the quiet simplicity of country life. They had shared countless memories, but time had twisted their paths apart like roots of a tree growing in different directions. Jacob's face told a story of regret and nostalgia, and for a moment, Tom forgot everything: the dinner, the mocking, the tension. "Tom," Jacob said, his voice a mix of reluctance and determination. "I need to talk to you." Tom inhaled sharply, the warmth from the kitchen retreating as an icy wave of memories crashed over him. "Now?" he asked, glancing back into the dining room where the weight of Lucy's words still lingered in the air. "Yeah, now. It's important." Jacob stepped inside, the door swinging shut behind him. David stood from the table, his brows furrowed in confusion, likely sensing the shift in energy. Tom gestured toward the living room, leading Jacob away from prying ears. "What is going on?" "I've been carrying this for a long time," Jacob admitted, running a hand through graying hair. "There are things I didn't tell you, things from the past. About your father." Tom's breath hitched. His father had always been a sturdy presence in his life, sharing stories of honor, hard work, and dreams dashed by circumstance. What could Jacob know that threatened to unsettle those memories? The questions churned in his mind like oil in a pan. Here you are, living a modest life, and Lucy, well, she has her own ideas about success. "I didn't want you to feel ashamed of who you are," Jacob continued. "But it's time I came clean." "Clean about what?" Tom's voice barely rose above a whisper. "If it's about my father, it is." "He wasn't who you think he was," Jacob interrupted, his voice steady yet soft. "There's a lot I've kept from you. It connects to your family's past, and it affects David too." Tom's mind raced, battling the urge to dismiss everything as irrational. Could Jacob really have answers to unwritten chapters of their lives, and why now? The shadows of Lucy's disdain crept back into his thoughts, whispering doubt about his worth, his past, about everything he fought to protect. "Look, you deserve to know the truth. We can't hide behind our proud facades forever," Jacob insisted, his eyes searching Tom's for understanding. Taking a deep breath, Tom considered the weight of this moment, how the next words could reshape everything he held dear. The silence hung between them, charged with an unspoken urgency. "I can handle it," Tom said, though his voice trembled. "Whatever it is, I want to hear it." Just then, the kitchen erupted in laughter, followed by a shriek of delight from Lucy that pierced through the tension. It felt like an ironic reminder of the divide between the world he was trying to protect and the truths that were now edging their way into view. Jacob took a moment, then nodded gravely. "What I'm about to say will change everything about your family, your father, and even about how you view your worth in this world." The cheerful laughter faded into an echo as Tom braced himself, knowing that unraveling the ties of the past might force him to confront the foundations of his very identity. What dark secrets lingered just outside the edges of his family's story? Would Tom's understanding of success and love survive the revelations to come? Tom could feel the weight of Jacob's words settle in the room like a shroud. The jovial sounds of laughter coming from the kitchen felt so distant, almost like they belonged to another world, a world without secrets or shadows creeping in. "About my father," Tom's voice cracked slightly, revealing the cracks in his facade. "What do you mean he wasn't who I think he was?" Jacob's eyes darkened, shadows of regret flickering across his face. "Your father was more complicated than the man you idolized. He had demons, Tom. Demons he didn't share with you." Jacob paused, collecting his thoughts as if they were fragile things he was afraid to break. "He did what he could to protect you, but there are truths that can't be buried forever." Feeling his heart pounding, Tom motioned for Jacob to continue. "What kind of demons? What truths?" Jacob drew in a deep breath as if steeling himself. "He made choices that changed everything for our families. Choices that might even connect with David." Tom felt a rush of anger, mixed with confusion. "My son? What do you mean? How is this connected to him?" The silence that followed was thick, squeezing Tom's heart as he waited for the answer that felt like a guillotine over his world. "I can't explain everything right now, but your father wasn't just an upstanding man. He had dealings with people that led to, well, I can't say more without putting you all in danger. Danger? Tom's breath quickened. The memories of his father, the quiet strength he had provided, felt ready to crumble. What kind of danger? I wish it were just about the past, Jacob replied, lowering his voice. But it's not. The choices he made have repercussions that live on, and they might be coming for you. Tom's mind reeled, twisting with the implications. The man he had looked up to, the man who had taught him how to work hard and value honesty, now seemed like a stranger. I can't believe this. It doesn't make sense. Jacob placed a hand on Tom's shoulder. I know this is hard. But you need to understand that secrets can erode everything if we don't face them head-on. Lucy's ambitions may not be the only pressures you have to deal with. The laughter from the kitchen suddenly merged with a sense of urgency, dragging Tom back to the present. What did you mean about David? Jacob hesitated, his eyes searching Tom's face for a sign of understanding. There are connections, choices your father made that could affect his future, especially if the past comes back into play. You need to protect your family, Tom. Before it's too late. Tom rubbed his temples, trying to think clearly. Anxiety spiraled within him. He could feel the warmth of the kitchen fading, replaced by a chill representing everything he was afraid to confront, the unknown impact on his son, and the image of a father he thought he knew. Tell me what to do, Tom said, his voice firm, suddenly desperate to grasp the shards of his reality before they shattered completely. Just then, the kitchen door swung open, and Lucy walked in, her eyes sparkling with life. Dinner's almost ready. What are you two plotting in here? The light in her voice felt like a lifeline thrown into the chaos swirling around him. But it also sparked the fear that the truths they were discussing would disrupt her world, the one he was desperate to protect. Lucy, Tom began, but the worry threaded through his voice, caught in his throat. No. Jacob said urgently, stepping closer. Not yet. It's too soon. She can't know, not until you're ready. Tom nodded, wrestling with the weight of silence growing heavier by the moment. But how can I prepare for something I don't understand? Lucy looked between the two men, her brow wrinkling in confusion. What is going on? Tom felt cornered. The room pulsed with unsaid words, a mix of secrets and lies tangled into every corner. As he stood there, the unease of the past encircling him, he realized he stood on the edge of a precipice. The family he cherished danced unknowingly on a tightrope, and it was up to him to keep them safe. Nothing. Just a lot to think about, he managed to say, hoping the hollow sound of his words wouldn't reach Lucy's heart, but in that very moment, he sensed an unseen storm approaching, the waves of his father's past threatening to crash into the present, and he knew they were about to face truths that would shatter the very core of everything they believed. What would happen when those secrets finally emerged from the shadows? Would Tom's family be strong enough to weather the storm? Tom took a deep breath, trying to steady himself as the shadows loomed larger. Dinner was almost ready, and he could hear the delightful clinking of dishes and the warmth of Lucy's laughter filtering through the walls. But now, behind that laughter, he felt the pulse of dread growing within him. Are you sure you're okay? Lucy asked, her brow still furrowed in concern. Tom forced a smile, desperate to sound convincing. Yeah, just got caught up in some old memories. Lucy nodded, but Tom saw the doubt in her eyes. There was a bond between them, built on trust and shared moments, and every time he lied to protect her, he felt that bond fraying at the edges. He couldn't help but think back to the other conversations he had that day, ones filled with uncertainty and trepidation. Each seemed to weigh heavily on his mind, turning simple declarations of love into something much more foreboding. All right, but remember, we're in this together, she said, her smile brightening the dimness that had settled in Tom's heart. How about I help with dinner? It'll take your mind off things. No. Stay with Jacob, he said quickly, worried he might just lose it if he didn't occupy himself with something, at least for now. I'll get everything sorted. Jacob shot Tom a warning glance, reminding him of the walls he had built around Lucy's world, a fortress meant to keep her safe. But at what cost? Okay, but don't be too long. The food's going to get cold, she called over her shoulder as she turned back toward the kitchen, a lightness in her step that made Tom's heart ache. As soon as Lucy was out of sight, Tom turned to Jacob, his hands clenching into fists. You can't keep this from her forever. Whatever my father did, it's not just going to disappear. I know, Jacob said, his voice strained. But think about it, Tom. Moving too fast can lead to bigger problems. She deserves a safe space. It's not just her you're protecting, it's David, too. The mention of his son pierced him, a tangible reminder of what was at stake. All he had ever wanted was to provide a stable life for David and Lucy. How would they react if they knew the truth about his father and the ghosts that lingered? Tom glanced back at the kitchen, his heart racing. What if it isn't just about the past? What if this has implications for David's future? My father's choices might have put my son in jeopardy. Jacob nodded gravely. That possibility exists, Tom. The life you built is grounded in illusions, and if those illusions shatter, it could hurt them more than you ever intended. Tom cringed at the thought. Was he even doing the right thing by keeping Lucy and David in the dark? What if, by hiding the truth from them, he was inadvertently teaching them to fear the shadows? The image of his family whole, happy, and oblivious cracked under the weight of the reality Jacob laid before him. Suddenly, Tom spotted a flash of movement. It was Lucy again, a frown on her face as she returned to the room. What is going on? You both look like you just lost a bet. Just a serious discussion, Tom replied, quickly tempering his tone. Lucy crossed her arms, her stance radiating concern. A serious discussion about secrets, I bet. I hate when you two do this. Why can't you just tell me everything? Jacob stepped in, sensing the rise of tension. Honey, not everything is meant for you to carry right now. You're doing great with your thesis, and we don't want to distract you. She turned to Tom, her eyes wide with frustration. But I can handle it. I want to be there for both of you. Tom swallowed hard, guilt washing over him. It's just complicated, Lucy. I promise, we'll talk. Just give us a little time. She shook her head. No. That's not good enough. With that, she turned on her heel, marching out of the room. Tom felt the sting of her words settle deep within him. The shadows in the doorway were like fingers reaching out, threatening to pull down any semblance of peace in their family life. Now what? Jacob's voice broke the oppressive silence. I don't know, Tom admitted, fear creeping into his voice. But she deserves to know what is happening. I just need to figure out how to tell her. As he spoke those final words, he realized time was running out. Whatever shadows lay ahead, they were growing darker, and he was no closer to shedding light on them. Suddenly, his phone buzzed on the table, an incoming message. The screen lit up with an unknown number. His heart raced as he read the words that could change everything. I know what your father did. We need to talk. Would that conversation bring more danger, or perhaps the answers Tom desperately sought? Tom's heart thundered in his chest as he stared at the message. He punched the words into his mind, trying to make sense of them. Was this a threat? Or an opportunity? He could feel Jacob's eyes on him, waiting for a response. Who is it? Jacob asked, the tension palpable. It's someone who knows about my father, Tom admitted, his voice barely a whisper. They want to meet. Do you think that's safe? Jacob raised an eyebrow. You don't know what they want. Tom rubbed his forehead, mind racing. But what if they hold the key to understanding it all? What if they know something that can keep Lucy and David safe? I can't ignore it. Think about what you're saying, Tom, Jacob warned. Meeting with strangers, especially when it concerns your father, it could get messy. You may end up dragging Lucy and David into something dark. Tom's thoughts flickered briefly to Lucy's earnest face, the way her eyes sparked when she was excited, or how her laughter filled their home with warmth. The last thing he wanted was to disrupt that. But his memories of his father, the man who had cast a long shadow over their lives, feared to be hidden behind the walls he had built. The suffocating guilt swelled in his stomach. Maybe Tom hesitated, maybe it'll help me figure out how to tell her. Jacob sighed heavily. Just be careful. I know you want to protect her, but that doesn't mean carrying this burden alone is the answer. Tom nodded, but his resolve felt weak. The shadows were creeping closer, ready to engulf everything he loved. He glanced at his phone again, the message blurred at the edges. Okay, Tom said finally, taking a deep breath. I'll meet them. But first, he added, standing up straight, I need to talk to Lucy. Jacob looked at him, concern etched on his face. You're going to tell her everything? Not everything. Just enough to prepare her, let her know that the past is coming back and we need to face it together. Tom wiped his palms on his jeans, heart heavy with the weight of his choices, that he walked towards the kitchen, each step feeling heavier than the last. Clinking dishes still echoed softly, and Lucy's laughter felt like a distant memory. As he stepped into the warm light, he caught sight of her, sleeves rolled, hair escaping in playful strands. She was so focused on arranging the food that the tension of their earlier exchange wasn't in her eyes yet. Hey, Tom said, his voice softer than he intended. Lucy turned and smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes, not entirely. Tom, you okay? She asked, concern returning. You've been acting strange. Yeah, I've got something to tell you. The words tasted heavy on his tongue, but as he looked at her, he felt the urgency of that shadow pressing against the edge of their moment. She put down the spoon and came closer, those eyes of hers searching his face. What is it? You're scaring me a little. Tom inhaled sharply. I think my past is coming back to haunt us. I need you to be ready, Lucy. You, me, and David, we need to face it together. His words hung in the air, thick with tension. The moment stretched, both heavy and fragile. What do you mean? What's happening? The light in her eyes began to dim as a storm of worry rushed in. I don't have all the answers yet, but I must meet someone who might help us understand. Why can't you just tell me? She asked, crossing her arms defensively. Because there's too much at stake. I want to keep you both safe, he replied, suddenly frustrated. Lucy stepped back, looking hurt. You're shutting me out again, Tom. I'm trying to protect you, he started, but his voice fell away as he realized he was just echoing the same mistakes. They stood there, eyes locked, each feeling a swell of emotions: fear, love, confusion, desire for connection. In that moment, Tom was painfully aware that neither of their worlds would remain untouched by the specter of his father's past. Tom, please, she whispered, voice trembling. I have a right to know what's going on. I want to let you face this alone, not again. The truth hovered just out of reach, threatening to break the fragile peace they clung to. As Tom struggled to find the right words, the shadows loomed larger, waiting for the moment the truth would collide with their lives. Would he finally find the courage to reveal everything, or would he seal their fates deeper into darkness? Tom searched Lucy's gaze, desperate for a sign, any sign, that they could weather this storm together. I want to tell you everything, Lucy. I really do. But, it's complicated. I just need to handle this one step at a time. She narrowed her eyes, uncertainty softening her features but also hardening them. How can I support you if you don't let me in? You're acting like I can't handle the truth, like I won't be strong enough for whatever is coming. I know you're strong, he replied, frustration bubbling up. It's not about you, it's about how deep this goes. It could pull us all under, and I can't let that happen. By keeping me in the dark. She shot back, her voice catching sharply. I thought we were a team, Tom. I thought we faced things together. He ran a hand through his hair and turned away for a moment, the window behind him framing a night filled with distant stars. It felt so peaceful, yet everything within him was chaos. It's my past, my mistakes catching up to me. I don't want you or David to get hurt because of it. Then let me decide what I can handle. Lucy's voice broke slightly, and the tension thickened. If you keep shutting me out, we're not going to survive this. Tom turned back, compelled by her fierceness. What if I tell you too much, and you regret knowing? But what if you don't tell me enough and I lose you? Her voice trembled, that vulnerability opening a crack in Tom's heart. He wanted to shield her from the pain, but all he was doing was building walls that threatened to divide them. I just need time, he finally murmured, feeling small under her gaze. Lucy exhaled slowly, frustration warring with despair. Tom, this isn't just about your past. It's about our future. What kind of future are we going to have if you don't invite me into this part of your life? I want to have a partnership built on secrets. He took a step closer, read the absolutely raw emotion pooling in her eyes. Maybe I'm just scared, Lucy. Scared of what's coming, scared of losing you. Tears glistened at the edges of her lashes. You need to trust me, just as I trust you. It's okay to be afraid, but don't let it push me away. The weight of her words pressed heavily against him. He wanted to promise her everything would be okay, but deep inside, he felt the tremors of uncertainty and fear. I'll try, he said, his voice just above a whisper. Trying is all I ask for, she replied, a flicker of hope igniting in her expression. But this has to come from both of us. You have to meet this person, fine. But promise that you won't hide anything from me afterward. Tom met her gaze, the iron resolve in her eyes forcing him to confront his own fears. I promise, Lucy. I won't shield you anymore. I swear, I'll bring you into this like we should have from the start. Okay, she said quietly, relief washing over her features. But just as the air started to clear, Tom's phone buzzed again, breaking the fragile peace. He glanced at it and felt his heart stall. The meeting was set for tonight. Lucy saw the tension return to his jawline, and she moved closer, lifting her hand to touch his arm. What is it? What did they say? It's happening. Tonight. Tonight? What time? Now. Tom felt the weight of panic take hold of him as he tried to mask the urgency flooding his mind. I need to go. You aren't going alone, she insisted, determination hardening her voice again. Lucy, I can't put you in danger, not like this. Tom, she said firmly, you don't get to decide that for me. I'm coming with you. The shadows that had been closing in around them felt even darker now. In just a few minutes, their lives could shift irreparably. Would the answers he found be the illumination they desperately needed, or the destruction of everything they had built together? As Tom and Lucy prepared to leave, his heart raced with what-ifs, each question a beast of uncertainty. The night awaited, thick with promises and perils, pulling them both toward an unknown fate. What was waiting for them at that meeting? The answer could change everything. Tom's heart raced as they stepped out into the night. The cool air hit his face, sharp and invigorating, but all he felt was the weight of dread piling up inside him. Lucy walked beside him, her presence a fierce reassurance. He took a deep breath, trying to calm his spinning thoughts, but fear tangled in his stomach like a knot that wouldn't loosen. I still can't believe you're coming, he said, stealing a glance at her. She looked determined, ready for whatever lay ahead. This isn't what we discussed. I know, she replied, voice steady. But we're in this together. I trust you, Tom, and I want to let you face whatever this is alone. He nodded, trying to soak in her strength. As they drove, the streetlights blurred past them, a backdrop to his racing thoughts. Each one flickered like warnings, keeping secrets he wasn't yet brave enough to confront. What if things went south? What if she resented him for bringing her along? Do you think we'll get answers tonight? Lucy asked, breaking into his spiraling thoughts. Maybe. Or things could get a lot more complicated. He swallowed hard, feeling the weight of the uncertainty. As they pulled into the abandoned parking lot where shadows clung to every corner, Lucy's grip tightened on the edge of her seat. "Do you know what they want?" "It's about a deal I made a long time ago," he said, his voice low. The words felt heavy, coated with regret. "I thought I could leave it all behind, but it's not that simple." Lucy turned to face him, her eyes piercing. "You have to trust me. Whatever it is you've buried, we'll face together. We've carved out too much to let fear dictate this moment." Her steadfastness unknotted something inside him. He felt the flicker of hope igniting once more. "You're right," he said, determination mixing with the nervousness. "Let us get this over with." As they stepped out of the car, Tom felt the air crackle with tension. He scanned the dimly lit area, each shadow dancing with possibilities. In the distance, figures emerged, and Tom's breath hitched. The shadows morphed into familiar faces, the kind that had haunted his past. "Tom," a deep voice called out, slicing through the silence like glass. It was Renard, the man Tom had hoped never to see again. But here he was, an embodiment of everything Tom had tried to forget. "Why are you here?" Tom managed to voice, though the words felt like paper. Renard smirked, a condescending glimmer in his eyes. "We have unfinished business. You thought you could slip away?" "No way, friend." Lucy stepped closer to Tom. "We're not afraid. Just tell us what you want." "Courageous, isn't she?" Renard chuckled, glancing between them. "But it's not you that concerns me, lady. It's the truth you're about to hear, Tom." Tom exchanged a glance with Lucy, her confidence steadying him. What did he mean by truth? Each beat of his heart echoed in his ears, a harbinger of the revelations waiting to crash. "Let us get to it, shall we?" Renard stepped forward, his demeanor shifting. There was a seriousness settling in, and Tom could feel the walls closing in. Was this where it all ended? The fog of secrets lifted, leaving nothing but raw exposure. Everything he feared rising to the surface. "Brace yourself," Renard began, a smile stretching across his face, calculating, sinister. "It's time for you to discover the incredible moment that will change everything for you and your pretty fiancée." Tom's throat tightened. What life-changing truth was Renard about to unveil? He felt Lucy's hand squeeze his, a tether to sanity as dread pulsed in his veins. He was not prepared for whatever would follow. The shadows deepened around them, enveloping the three figures in an unsettling quiet that made Tom's skin crawl. He tried to steady his breathing, but it came in shallow gasps, a response to both Lucy's grip and Renard's chilling words. "Tom," Renard said, his voice low and measured, "you've built a life here. A cozy little world. But I wonder, how much of it is real?" He surveyed the abandoned lot like it was his grand stage, and they were merely players in a twisted play. "What do you mean?" Tom's voice was firmer this time, trying to mask the tremor of his rising panic. Renard's eyes glimmered with malice. "I know about your past. Every deal, every shady move you made to escape. But what you don't know is that there's a price for running away. And it seems my dear friend here," he gestured lazily at the darkness around. "He's come to collect." Tom's heart sank. The air felt thick and heavy, pressing down on him. "You can't be serious." The words slipped from his mouth like a desperate plea. Lucy squeezed his hand tighter, a silent promise of support. "Whatever you're going to say, just get it over with," she demanded, her voice steady, but Tom could see her resolve beginning to waver. Renard chuckled softly, leaning closer. "You see, Tom, I hold the key to your secrets. There are things you thought you buried deep, things your fiancée doesn't know, the dark corners you've hidden from her. I can expose all of it." Tom's mind raced. He could sense the walls closing in, and every moment ticked louder than the last. "What do you want from me?" The question slipped through his clenched teeth, trembling with urgency. "I want the truth to come out," Renard replied. His smile was predatory. And I want to know how far you're willing to go to protect it. Because in my hands, I have a way to destroy everything you've built. Stop playing games, Lucy interjected, stepping forward. Just tell us what it is. Renard's expression shifted ever so slightly. There was something almost impressed in the way he looked at her, as if he hadn't expected her to challenge him directly. I admire your bravery. But you truly don't understand the gravity of this situation. Tom could feel the panic rise again. I can't let you mess with her life, he insisted, staring hard at Renard. Whatever you think you know what I know, Tom, Renard interrupted smoothly, is not just about you. It's about a life you've crafted, a life that might unravel if Lucy learns about your past. The truth, my friend, is like a fire. He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. And when it burns, it leaves nothing unscathed. The air felt electric between them. Tom's mind raced with images of his past, the secrets and the consequences he had tried to outrun. He couldn't lose Lucy not to this monster. What do you want? He demanded, his voice rising. Just tell me. Renard's grin widened. Very well. I want an agreement. You help me with something small, a little task, and in exchange, I'll keep your past buried. It will never reach her ears. Tom's stomach twisted. A part of him wanted to reject Renard outright, but another part, the part that was terrified of losing Lucy's trust, felt shackled. What do you expect me to do? The question slipped out, but the words tasted bitter. Renard's eyes glinted with anticipation, and for a moment, he didn't answer. It hung there, suspended in the air. What could he possibly ask for? Let us just say, Renard finally said, the next step comes with a choice. You'll find out soon enough what value your secrets hold. Tom could feel the ground shifting beneath him. He realized he was standing on the edge of a precipice. Just as the tension reached its peak, a distant siren wailed out, echoing through the empty lot. Tom felt a jolt of realization. Was this the end? Or just the beginning? Lucy, he whispered, fear creeping back in. What did this deal really mean for them? The truth loomed, threatening to tear them apart, and just as he gathered his thoughts, footsteps approached from behind, drawing closer. More figures, each one promising to change everything Tom thought he had managed to leave behind. The night was about to swallow them whole. Would it reclaim Tom's past or redefine their future? The footsteps grew louder, reverberating through the emptiness of the lot. Tom clenched Lucy's hand tighter, his mind racing as he tried to identify the approaching figures. Renard stood there, an ominous specter, watching with an unsettling eagerness. What do you want from us? Tom breathed, his voice barely above a whisper. Renard's smile widened, but he didn't respond. The shadows shifted, and three silhouettes emerged from the darkness. They were men, each wearing leather jackets, outlined figures that blended into the mood of the night. Look who decided to join the party, one of them called out with a hint of mockery. His tone was familiar yet unsettling, sending a fresh wave of dread crashing over Tom. Stay close, Lucy whispered, her breath warm against Tom's ear. It was supposed to comfort him, but it only heightened his anxiety. Renard's gaze flickered towards them, his expression gleaming with delight. Gentlemen, he welcomed them, as if they were old friends. I trust you heard our discussion. The tallest of the newcomers stepped forward, his face partially obscured by shadows. We came because you said there might be a piece of the past we should know about, Renard. His voice was gruff yet smooth, sending chills down Tom's spine. Tom turned to Lucy, searching for a glimmer of hope in her eyes, but all he found was fear reflected back at him. She was scared, and he felt powerless. What is going on, Renard? Who are they? Tom demanded, trying to cover his anxiety with anger. These gentlemen, he gestured toward them, are interested in your past, just like I am. You see, your little secrets aren't as buried as you think. They bubble beneath the surface, waiting to explode. Tom's stomach dropped. He had fought so hard to keep his mistakes from resurfacing. The thought of them finding their way to Lucy was unbearable. "Come on, Tom. Don't act surprised," Renard continued, his voice dripping with satisfaction. "This is just a consequence of your choices. You thought you could start anew without paying the price. The past has a funny way of catching up, doesn't it?" One of the men crossed his arms, his expression unreadable. "What's the plan, Renard? We're not here for idle chatter." Renard turned back to Tom, his eyes glimmering with malicious intent. "This is where you come into play, Tom. We need a favor, a small task, really. And if you succeed, I just might protect your precious little world from unraveling." Tom felt his pulse race, caught in a web woven from his darkest secrets. "What do you want me to do?" he asked again, the words tasting bitter on his tongue. "Simple," Renard said. "Help us gather some information. Something valuable. If you do that, I'll ensure your past stays hidden." Tom's heart pounded loudly in his chest, drowning out the sounds around him. This wasn't just about him anymore, it was about Lucy's trust, their love, everything they had built together. "I want to do it," he said, his voice stronger this time. "I want to let you manipulate me." Lucy squeezed his hand tighter. "Tom, think about this. Don't let him control you." Renard laughed, the sound sharp and cutting. "Oh, you think you have a choice? But remember, every choice has consequences. I can make your life miserable, Tom. I can tell her everything. And I promise, it'll hurt her more than anything." Tom felt the weight of the world pressing on his shoulders. The threat was unrelenting, and he was running out of time. As the sirens drew closer, illuminating the scene with flashes of red and blue, Tom had to decide. Was he going to protect what he built, even if it meant compromising his integrity? Or would he risk losing everything for a chance to break the chains of his past? The tension was suffocating as the men shifted, ready for Tom's answer. Would he take the plunge into darkness, or could he fight back against the pull of his former life? "What's it going to be, Tom?" Renard's taunting question hung in the air, daring him to respond, and in that moment, Tom realized that the choice he made could determine the very fabric of his future. Would he be strong enough to face the truth, or would he succumb to the shadows? Tom's heart raced as he weighed the looming threats against the weight of his integrity. The sirens grew louder, signaling the urgency of their situation. Lucy looked up at him, her face a mixture of determination and fear, as if she could sense the monumental decision holding him captive. "Tom, whatever happens, we can face it together." She squeezed his hand tighter, but he felt the tremors in her grip echoing the trepidation in his heart. Renard scoffed, his confidence radiating a menacing sense of control. "Ah, youthful love. It's charming, really. But love can't save you from the past. What's your choice?" Tom inhaled deeply, casting his gaze back to Lucy. He thought of their shared laughter, the lasagna they prepared together, the promises of a future painted bright. That warmth felt so distant now, yet it flickered like a candle, begging for light. "No deal." The words tasted bitter on his tongue, but they surged forth like a newfound power. "I want to let you manipulate me or put Lucy at risk." Renard's smile slipped, revealing the menace lurking beneath his charming demeanor. "You really think you can just walk away? I admire your bravery, but that's not how this works." Tom straightened his back, the decision grounding him. "Then you can do your worst. I'll face whatever truth comes out." The silence that felt electric, charged with the weight of Tom's resolve. He stepped closer to Renard, ready to confront whatever lay ahead. "You want to tell Lucy about my past? Go ahead, she deserves to know every bit of it. Because I believe in our future enough to face the truth, no matter how horrifying it may be." Lucy's breath caught in her throat, surprise and admiration flashing in her eyes. "Tom," she whispered, as if she couldn't fathom his courage. For once, Tom felt free. Renard, caught off guard, faltered for just a moment. "You're making a big mistake, Tom." His voice dripped with contempt, but Tom held firm. "And you underestimating me is your mistake." With that, the urgency of the sirens enveloped them, becoming quicker, more persistent, making the air thrum beneath his skin. The shadows felt like an approaching storm, but this time, Tom felt anchored by the light of his truth. Suddenly, the looming figures shifted. The longest shadow stepped out from the crowd, Tom's old friend Jacob, who had silently watched the confrontation unfold. "This isn't the time, Renard," Jacob said, firm yet calm, signaling an understanding that had been lost in Tom's turbulence. "You're veering into dangerous territory." The tension was tangible, fear radiating like ripples of water. Renard turned his steely gaze on Jacob. "And you are?" "His conscience. I'm here to make sure Tom knows the consequences of backing away from the mountain he's climbed," Jacob replied coolly, support unfurling like a safety net beneath Tom's resolve. At that moment, Tom felt the kinship of shared burdens, the past, regrets, and their commitments to family. He finally understood that those burdens could be shared. He had fought to shield Lucy and David, but the truth bore a strength of its own that could bind them closer. "Renard," Tom interjected, shaking his head, "if you think I'll betray my family to save myself, you've lost your mind. I stand by my son and my fiancée. We'll face whatever you throw at us together." The air thickened, and Renard's face twisted in disbelief. He had lost the thread of control, the bravado fading away like a startled echo. The sirens approached faster, their high-pitched wails brought a melody of liberation. With that, the tension shattered. Just as Renard opened his mouth to retaliate, lights flooded the darkness around them. The flicker of police cars flashed to life, illuminating the figures and casting long shadows against the asphalt. "Time's up, Renard," Jacob said, stepping forward as he turned to face the officers emerging from their vehicles. An uneasy smile crept onto Renard's lips, but even he recognized the shift. "You think this is over?" Tom stepped protectively in front of Lucy, feeling a tidal wave of resolve. "No, but we'll be safe. Now. You won't get to manipulate our lives anymore." As the officers moved in, the shadows receded, replaced by the authority that embraced the truth like an old friend. Tom felt a surge of hope, an intertwining of realization that their family could thrive even through the storm of exposures. The officers quickly apprehended Renard and his men, but Tom's focus rested on Lucy. He turned to her, every ounce of love pouring through his eyes. "I'm sorry I kept you out of it. I should be trusted you all along." "I understand," she replied, her words softening with every heartbeat. "We'll face what's next together." In that moment, Tom grasped her hand tightly, their solid bond unbreakable. Everything they feared, the shadows of the past, had begun to lift. As they walked towards the police cars, Tom felt lighter, prepared to shed the weight of secrets. Their future felt bright, and they would navigate this together, brighter than any flicker of candlelight. With Renard gone, and burdens unearthed, their family could forge ahead, stronger and more unified than ever. Tom turned and caught Jacob's reassuring glance, a mutual acknowledgement of trust restored. "Let us go home, Lucy." "Together," she replied, her eyes shimmering with hope. And so they walked forward, carrying the lessons of the past into a future bathed in possibility. Before you go, don't let this moment fade away. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment your reactions and feelings about this incredible ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this inspiring transformation. Remember, this is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. True fans understand the importance of these actions. Let's keep this community growing.